दोस्तों अब वक्त है हमारे सुपर पैनल डिस्कशन का. The topic is Netflix driving storytelling beyond genres and formats, and we are in conversation with Kamal Mukherjee, filmmaker, author, and biographer, joined by Monika Shergill, Vice President Content, Netflix India, Tahir Bhasin, actor, and Siddharth Sengupta, director. Over to you, Ram sir.
And thank you, IWMBuzz Web Fest Season 3 for this warm welcome to all of us. And I'm extremely happy to have this really talented panel. And I am really looking forward to the content that they're going to come up with. And I'm sure that you're all going to be really excited with the new content that's coming up on Netflix called Ye Kali Kali Aankhein. And that is something which I would like to kind of talk about. And to begin with, we have Monika with us from Netflix, and I would like to start off with you because ladies first. And so what is it like 2022? I mean, 2021 has been a hell of a ride for everybody, all the content providers. I'm sure Netflix also had its own plus and minuses thanks to the coronavirus. So 2022, what's Netflix coming up with? What's in the kitty and how is it looking like?
First, I think thank you for having me here, Ram. I think IWMBuzz is a very big fan favorite destination. So we are so happy to, have our first conversation around Ye Kali Kali Aankhein with you guys. And I'm actually very delighted to be here with Siddharth. Who's created this series. He's an old friend and a writer-director whose work I'm such a big fan of. And Tahir, a wonderful, sort of lead talent. And also someone who actually, I should say, we did a wonderful, sort of streaming series with in prior to Netflix. I think that was your debut, Tahir, if I'm not mistaken. So really happy. Yeah. So really happy to be here, Ram. And I think as the title of the series suggests, it packs in a lot of intrigue. It packs in familiarity. It's a popular song. So it evokes some emotions. The series evokes some familiar emotions and many novel twists and turns and emotions. And, that's what I think, if I can just say, that's what the slate of Netflix in 22 would look like. It will have a lot of things that people have been waiting for Netflix to do. It'll have a lot of new things that you didn't expect from us. So we are very excited about 2022. It'll have all the genres that you can think of, creators that we are very proud to partner with, on-screen talent that we are so excited to have on the service. So I'm very sure that people will be, extremely delighted with what we do next year.
Super. Taking a cue from Monika, I would like to address this question to Siddharth, that you being the creator of the show, you being the director of the series, as she mentioned that Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is definitely an iconic song for all of us in India, in Bollywood. And even when I heard this title for the first time, in my mind, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, so this is a thriller, because without mentioning the name of the film, the iconic film that is in reference with the song, that film, I think, became one of the cult thriller movies of that time. And so people of, generation from that 90s or late 90s generation will definitely relate to it in one go. So was that your viewpoint also while you were keeping the title, or what was it playing in your mind as a maker?
Yeah, I think when I was thinking of the subject, and as you rightly said, the song straight away takes you to that era, takes you straight away to a thriller subject, takes you straight away to a man going, trying to goes towards the dark side because to avenge or to straighten his circumstances or whatever. The whole thing is that when I thought of this subject, the subject was called Ye Kali Kali Aankhein because of all that is, because of all that is related to this song. All the memories which come with this song, or all that this song represents, in the sense when you think of it, which is primarily, there is a thriller, and it's an out and out entertainer. That's one of the primary reasons why we chose this title. Why I chose this title, because it has to be entertaining. It should reflect entertainment rather than a very dark or a very serious kind of a title, because this is the series. The series has everything in it. So hence the title. That's why I thought about the title.
Superb. So when you actually thought of this film, as you said that you had this thing in your mind, Netflix comes up with their own kind of genre. Their thrillers are completely different from the thrillers that we get to see in other OTT platforms. So while writing as a director, as a filmmaker, do you kind of, customize it? Do you kind of, rethink about the platform when you are making it, or it's vice versa, that you actually kind of make it and then you don't want to change it, and the platform accepts it the way it is?
See, I'll tell you, I've been very fortunate with Netflix and with Monika and the entire team, because they have been very forthcoming, and actually they have been pushing one to, explore all areas rather than just stick to a format. I think understanding entertainment in our country is a must, and that is where I've been very fortunate with Netflix, because the masses palette is very different here. I mean, they need everything. So all that, you need to cater to everything. And I think that was the directive from Monika and team, also from Netflix, that, you have the freedom to explore everything, make it entertaining. I think that kind of faith when a maker has, so you put in everything and then you present it to the platform. And if the platform is gung-ho about the same thing, your fingers are well crossed, then you come up with a good product. So I think one of the main thing which I would like to say is the faith the platform has in your creation and the support it gives. See, that is one of the most important. I think it's very liberating from any maker, for any creator, to have that push, to have that applause whenever needed. So I think that is very necessary. Yes, we have to keep in mind the platform in terms of, because Netflix is very wide in terms of its audience. We do, but the whole thing is I never wanted to make it anything else, So it was as is, and Monika also wanted it as is.
Oh, superb.
If I can actually add to what Siddharth said, he's such a consummate creator, and he's so clear about what he wants to do and how he wants to tell the story. So I think that, and this is a subject which even we've sort of, Siddharth has had in his head for a while now. And, this was something when I'd heard his vision, it was the most, powerful thing for me was that there are so many themes in the story. It's a story of power play, power dynamics, it's a story of gender dynamics. It's a story of revenge. It's a story of love. How all these themes really come together and they mix in a very propulsive thriller. It's like Siddharth says, it's an out and out entertainer, but at the same time, it touches upon such deep themes of power inequality in our country. It really takes you to heartland crime. It takes you to how very simple middle class family, like a boy is not free to choose the person he loves and wants to marry. Usually we see it the other way around, right? So the whole gender dynamic is reversed. The power dynamic comes into play. And what sets off is a brilliant character arc of Tahir in the show, where he is one kind of person. and he starts becoming another kind of person. And that's the story which Siddharth has managed to tell in such a propulsive thriller, and it's got amazing songs. I think the soundtrack, what Siddharth and his son and the whole team have done, it's phenomenal. It's one of the best you'll see on streaming here. I think equivalent to any film that you see.
Superb.
So
So
much, Monika.
I
Sorry.
think Monika has given me a cue to kind of ask Tahir. The first question of this session is that arc, something which I as a even as a maker always feel that an actor of your caliber will obviously deliver a bigger arc, because you're perform as a performer. I would say that you're a performer. And so when you got the script, when Siddharth approached you, and when you teamed up with Monika and Siddharth for this role, Tahir, what were the challenges that you saw in the script as an actor? That the arc that she's talking about as an actor, from an actor's point of view, what were the challenges, and why did you pick on saying that, okay, yes, let's do this film?
That's a great question. I think one of the things about doing a series is that you have the advantage of a longer timeline. So your story is spread over 8 episodes, which is something that I hadn't done in a very long time. In a film, you have 2 hours. And so the minute you have those 8 episodes, as an actor, you look at every episode as an independent film. It's got a beginning, middle, and end. And so you go from those mini arcs to an arc of the entire series. And for me, like, the great thing that sort of attracted one to it is that at the heart of it, it's a heartland love story. Like, it's a love story, and it's about an ordinary man in extraordinary circumstances. And sometimes the hardest thing to play is an ordinary person. It's very easy to, easy is the wrong word, but you're cushioned by writing if you're playing a larger than life character. But when you're playing a simple man in extraordinary circumstances as an actor, that's extremely challenging. And it's how the script transitions from being that heartland, simple love story into all the difficulties that both Monika and Siddharth mentioned, that turns it into a sort of psychological thriller. And just the joy of getting on set and seeing the rundown for the day and seeing that, okay, so first we're shooting episode 7, then we're coming back to episode 1, then we're going to episode 3, and plotting all those graphs and delivering on them, hopefully delivering on them. I wouldn't want to overpraise the performance, is what the thrill of doing a series was.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's true, because when you are working for a content which is running over 8 episodes, as you mentioned, that you as an actor, I guess you get more opportunity to show your acting prowess in various scenes, which you don't get to see in a feature film purely because of the time restriction. And that's always a plus for an actor. But for a director also, I would like to go back to Siddharth with this question, that what are the hindrances, what are the pluses and minuses of telling a story in series, and when you tell a story in terms of a film? Maybe it could be a digital film also, but what are the main thing that plays into your mind as a director?
Yeah, so as a director and as a writer, I think what plays in my mind is how do I chapterize this whole story in such a way that those eight chapters are a complete film by themselves and have a graph which goes up. And constant. So that's the whole idea. There is a beginning, middle, end. So there are 8 films in that one film, and they are complete by itself, because each chapter has its own graph, has its own arc, has its own trajectory that includes for the actor and the writing and the So that is one constant. Also, OTT, because it's a very impatient media, it could be a very impatient media for the viewer. It can switch off anytime. Hence, it has to be very riveting. Each chapter has to be very riveting. Each moment has to be very riveting. So that's the challenges which you keep as a director, as a storyteller, is that, you have to keep that in mind while telling the story, while writing the story, that you have to give 8 films with a complete beginning, middle, and end. So I think that's the most challenging part about writing or directing or creating a web show. All these kind of series. So because it goes on, it does not end at 8 actually. So it goes.
Yeah, in fact,
I was coming to the challenges. You're talking about challenges, and I guess we were chatting with Monika before we started this session, and she mentioned something very interesting, that you guys, the biggest challenge was to kind of shoot the film in the time frame that we're all going through, or the time zone that we're all going through. It was not easy for a director or an actor like Tahir to kind of, get into all these restrictions, and even as a production house, Netflix, it was so we want to know that since we are not in the regular normal situation of shooting a film or a series, what are the precautions, what are the hindrances, I'd say, that you guys had to face creatively to pull this off at the time of Corona?
Ladies first.
This is an open question. Anybody can answer.
I actually will just add to what Siddharth was earlier saying, and he knows best about the challenges. Actually, Siddharth and Tahir will be the best people to answer what they've experienced on ground and how they really managed to pull off this feat. I just wanted to add that where the series world is concerned, Ram, when a creator is thinking of it and when a character is playing it, it is such an immersive world that you are not just thinking of season 1. When a creator's, unless you're programming or you're writing a limited series, Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is a multi-season show with a a long arc that will really surprise everyone, where it goes, where the characters evolve to. Every single character has a long arc written for them, which the creator has thought of. Siddharth, in this case, even when he spoke the first time, his vision for where the story can go is something that, is what a series world does. And that is what, the challenge of writing, directing, and performing such a thing is. And where shooting comes, I think Siddharth and Tahir should be able to tell what madness they've gone through.
Yes. So I guess over to Tahir first, and then maybe Siddharth.
Yeah, for sure. Let me talk about the positives first, Ram. We were coming out of the first lockdown. Everyone had never experienced something like this before. And it was the most exhilarating yet anxious situation at the same time. We had never all been confined to our homes for such a long time, and just to be out and be creating something, it was a renewed sense of optimism of life just to be on set. I had never seen people so happy to be on set before, because I think the lockdown opened in about the end of September, early September, and we were shooting mid-October. So we were actually one of the first big projects to go out there and get on floor. So the positive was just this renewed appreciation for being with a crowd of people, with being human contact, be doing what you love. The downside of it was how anxious everyone was. It was riding on everyone's mind. It was constantly on social media. We were in situations where there were RT-PCR tests being done every day. We were operating in bio bubbles. It was definitely, I think we were creating a new way of working, of everyone on set wearing PPE kits. There were these black light sort of scanners that you had. It was like, it was very science fictionist when you would enter set. First, there would be a temperature check that would happen, and there would be some swab that would happen. But overall, I think hats off to the production for making us all feel safe and for pulling us through it. And I think more than anything else, keeping our creative minds occupied while there was absolute chaos going on around us.
That's superb. So, Siddharth, what is your take on this whole?
I don't know. As a producer, if it was as much fun for him, but yes, for the actors, it was mad ride.
Yeah, so it was an uphill task both as a producer and the director. So it started with the workshops. The workshops were on Zoom calls, which is absolutely new. And this being a psychological thriller, or a psychological drama, you need to get into the heads of the characters. The problem was that, this is very virtually done. So it was getting a little, and we couldn't meet. It was not possible. I remember the first time we did the look test also, it was as if we are in a sci-fi movie. So, so the only person who you could see, so the only person you could see was the guy who was off the mask and off everything. The shooting was very tough because second phase had started in a few months. The second lockdown phase had started. And we were shifting locations constantly because sudden changes would be made, the lockdowns would be imposed. So all that was happening. And then finally the edit, when we realized that virtually we cannot edit. So Rajesh Pandey, the editor, and me were locked into a hotel for around 100 days, and we finished the edit, and hence this was made. So yeah, it was tough, but I think we were all too charged and focused, and that's what kept us going.
But I think
you can definitely make another show about the making of this show.
Correct.
If you
I was
wanted
just going to say that because when you look at some of the scenes, and we know from, behind the scenes that the same sequences have been shot across multiple cities and states, just to piece together a scene, because if they were shooting somewhere, there would be sudden overnight lockdowns. They are midway through action. They have to recreate that in another city or state. So it was quite, crazy.
So over the years,
quite a nightmare, I would say. Quite a nightmare.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
But Ram, what was the alternate is that you're sitting at home. So I think given a choice, we much rather be in the nightmare where you're on set and being creative and doing what you love. So it was really between a rock and a hard place, and we're just fortunate that we had the opportunity.
So during the last phase was the toughest because everything was shutting, and we were sending our production teams everywhere, whichever places functional we could shoot there, but everything was shutting. So then we finally went to Manali, which was nowhere close to what we were cheating it with. But the whole thing is, I have shot with multiple locations with multiple scenes. In this show, there are multiple locations in the same scene because
that's the difference.
Yeah, in the same scene,
people will not be able to see the difference. That's your skill, I guess.
So he enters in Patiala. He enters in Patiala, goes through Bombay, and reaches Manali. So it's in the same scene.
Yeah. But you're right. You cannot tell when you're watching the scene. Only the makers and the crew that was there will know that within the same phone call, entering a room and putting the phone down, you've gone across India.
So, but hats off to the actors that they were able to maintain that continuity, which is very tough, and which is why I was keeping my fingers crossed. But they have done a fabulous job.
I was coming to that only. Is that the reason why you kind of thought of Tahir as an actor? Because you need performers. As I started the conversation with, you don't need. Sorry, I mean, I'm not defaming anybody. You don't need stars. You need actors to perform. So was that was that a criteria that you need an actor and not just a star who would just come and not become the character, and rather you have to work around his paraphernalia because he's a big star and you have to maintain the stardom first. So was that a concern when you were casting, and what was the other reason for casting Tahir for the particular role?
I absolutely, what you just said is the apt thing that I don't think so. This is about the character. This is about the character and the trajectory of this character, and it's a very tough one because the entire show is played through his state of mind. So I'm following that character's state of mind, his point of view constantly. Now I needed somebody who does a lot of homework, who has the skill, who has the dedication. I think there is a thin line between hard work, dedication, and devotion. I think Tahir is devoted, because the way he put in the effort, his homework was apt. This could not have been possible without a guy's homework. Because the way he's worked on it, because it's constantly in his mind, I'm playing the show, which we kept discussing, Tahir and me, but the effort has been put by him because it's all about this character called Vikrant and his life. So and why I chose Tahir was because I've seen Tahir's work initially, and then we spoke, and he has really worked hard. I mean, after that, there was no looking back actually from day one. And this is the way we started, same place. This is how we were interacting, and this is how we were speaking. So I think we chatted far more than we did the workshop. Initially, I think it's very, very important to get into each other's mind, into each other's emotions, It's very important so that we know the character in and out. And there was a lot of input coming from Tahir there. So I think that is what that is what I was looking for. I was looking for somebody who's putting as much or more as much that than I am doing, into that character. And I think Tahir was more than 100% there. So, all the actors actually, have put in all there. Tahir was one of the most. It's the most difficult character to play.
I'm sure. So I'm going back to Tahir. Is that, as you said, that because it's a web series, it's not a chronological, and no, even for films also you don't shoot chronologically. So for an actor, when the character is so complex, and you have to jump from scene 80 to scene 2, and then from scene 5 to scene 62, it's not easy. It's not it cannot be robotic. It's very human. So as an actor, how do you place yourself? How do you switch on, switch off from the journey? Like from page 60 to page 20, page 20 to 15, 15 to 35. How do you do that?
Sure. Just to add to what Siddharth sir was saying earlier and to your question, as an actor, I'm someone who's grown up. I would say it was just a conditioning of the audience and the way the entertainment world functions, is where, unfortunately, there's always been this distinction between actor and star. And I really think that what the new wave of entertainment is bringing in, and this is something that I really admire Netflix and most premium OTT platforms for, is that your fame doesn't decide your stardom. It's your work that decides it. And I think when I get on set or when I choose a script, it's really what I stand for, is that like there shouldn't be that distinction. Like if your work between action and cuts should speak for itself. And that's where that should be the definition of stardom. And that is always the endeavor. And yes, it was definitely like challenging because like you said, nothing is ever shot linear. The challenge for playing Vikrant, the protagonist, is that there's multiple supporting actors who you're interacting with. There's an Akhiraj who's the antagonist. There's Golden, who is Vikrant's friend. There's Shikha, who's his love interest. His dynamic with each one of those is not only different, but it's different with each episode. So in a lot of ways, it's like peeling an onion. With every layer, the story sort of evolves and gets more and more into the headspace of the protagonist. And that was challenging, is that you're meeting someone who's one person on set. And in that episode, there's someone completely different. 3 hours later, after lunch, your dynamic with them has completely changed. And I'm very excited for the audience to see it, because it was riveting as an actor. And I hope that comes across in the episodes that we play.
Superb. That's absolutely nicely put and very easily explained for the viewers to understand what an actor goes through, because people might be thinking that it's a very easy job of an actor to be on the sets and get all the adulation and all the fan following and all the credit for being a part of the character. But I guess Siddharth and Monika will also understand that it's actually the actor who actually goes through the maximum pain, because he has to suffer the character, he has to live the character most. Coming back to Monika, I would like to ask that Netflix is known for producing content which are darker than the other dark contents that we get to see on OTT platforms. So is there a particular reason why the platform prefers to tell story on a darker milieu? Because even if it's a love story or a thriller or any of the content, it's got its dark shade in it. So is it a particular reason to kind of have the darker shade more prominent in all your content?
Ram, that is actually a sort of perception which is built up because of a lot of content which people have watched, liked and spoken about. There is a whole lot of content. In fact, if you look at Netflix, we are an ocean of content. All four of us, would be having our version of Netflix. So when people who watch more dark content will get recommended more such stories because they enjoy there are people who watch only light content, and there's so much of that on Netflix. There are people who just consume documentaries. So their feed is full of the most amazing documentaries from world over. The objective as programmers for us is to really provide the best entertainment for all moods and tastes. You should, on any given day, and people who like crime thrillers maybe feel like a romantic comedy the next day. Will Netflix have it? Absolutely yes. Will Netflix have one or many? Many. So that's how we program. And where crime and thrillers are concerned, I should actually share this with you. This is not just true for India. This is true for all over the world. There is a propensity of people to consume more thrillers and crime. There are certain genres. If you look at publishing, if you look at books and you just compare how many books are written in that format with that storytelling, right? So, somewhere, I think there is a natural propensity as audiences to consume those genres. But also, I would say that we program a lot of fun stuff also. Even recently, films like Meenakshi Sundareshwar, even films like Haseen Dilruba, or series like Masaba Masaba, which lean towards, lighter themes, or even if there's crime, deliver it like Ludo, deliver it in a different way. And where Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is concerned, it's a crime thriller which could have been done in a very dark way. The way Siddharth has written it, imagined it, and put it together, there is not a moment of darkness in it. The darkness is what Vikrant is going through, what's happening in his head, but the delivery of it is comical at so many times. It's highly dramatic. It's full of twists and turns. There's not a moment where you will feel that it's dark. In fact, I should say this. I argued a lot with Siddharth about the name of the show. I would tell him that, on Netflix, people don't expect a name like this. Like Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is so pulpy.
Yeah.
And, it's actually a deep psychological drama delivered in a very pulpy and racy way. So it's like Siddharth keeps saying, it's cross genre. It mixes a lot of genres of romance, of thrill, of comedy, of, psychological drama. But he was fixed on the name. And when he made this song, I think that convinced me, the whole team. It did take me a little adjusting. So maybe the audience will also be wondering, what is a title like Ye Kali Kali Aankhein doing on Netflix? And I think it's a good point of curiosity. People should come and check it out and see what is it doing on Netflix and what is it really meant to say to the audience. And the song...
Can we see that Siddharth is launching a new genre in Netflix? Can we see that?
I really think it's a mixed genre, and because you'll even love the comedy in it. Sometimes what Vikrant's character goes through, and it's such a sort of upside down journey, how he changes, what all he has to go through, that it's comical sometimes to see someone going through that, and yet you feel his vulnerability. So I think even for Tahir, Tahir, I felt when I was watching it, when we were reading it and when we were watching it, the way it leaped from paper, how you actually performed it, and how you gave life to that character is something that I think you really go with Vikrant. I actually can't wait to see what Vikrant does in season 2.
Great. Coming on to the
thank you.
last leg of our conversation, I think I would like to kind of ask this question to all three of you, because it's been something I've been very intrigued about. That, for us, content earlier was film, feature film, big screen, cinema hall, all that stuff. But since the rise of OTT, the understanding of content has completely changed. And even the parameter of liking or disliking has also changed. So one by one, I would like to ask you all, for example, for a feature film, their lifeline has become a weekend lifeline. So whatever the weekend collection is, you take a call and you decide on the figure and you call it a hit or super hit or a disaster. XYZ. There are certain section of critiques who would review your film and would say that good, bad, ugly, you're done with it. But when you are on OTT platform, I being a maker myself, who've only worked for OTT platform, I have also realized, so it's my viewpoint too, that I keep getting feedback for my content throughout. I keep getting responses throughout. So it never dies out. So number one. Number two is there are a set of people who would probably like your content, who would not like your content, or who would be kind of, ignorant about your content. But you can always refer them back to your content and they can always go back and watch it, people who have not watched it. So these are the pluses which I have realized in OTT. Now, from Monika to Siddharth to Tahir, I really want different viewpoints as a platform, as a maker, and as an actor. How do you kind of, take this change? Or because I'm sure you have also you've been a part of Bollywood, you all have been a part of Bollywood, and now we are all part of OTT. So how do you see the change? I mean, from the critique, from the collection, from everything overall?
I think Siddharth, you go first.
See, being creator and on the creative side, the maths of the two platforms is something which I don't get into. It's mainly in the creative side. I think these are two different. There are two different askings. These are two different mediums completely, because the asking is very different. The good part about OTT, I can speak for OTT right now, and why I like OTT is because it gives you a lot of freedom. It gives you a lot of freedom without being judged constantly, and putting you in a bracket. So while, like I was taking from where Monika was talking about the genre of this show, I call it a driller, drama, thrill, and humor.
That's the genre you're inventing on Netflix.
Yeah. I humor. I'm going to use this driller genre. Very nice.
Yeah, DRILLOUR. So it's called drama, thrill, and humor. Now, also you can explore a lot. And with Netflix, something like Netflix, you are in 190 countries. Every day is a premiere day. You'll keep getting viewers on a daily basis. You can be, you can get into the layers of stories, layers of character, layers of this. So you have so much you can do in a series, I guess, plus the freedom to do what you can, and without being into that. Okay, today is Friday. By next day, the Judgment Day has come. Of course, the Judgment Day comes here also. But here, I think it's much more satisfying. It's much more liberating as a creator to, to explore your story, to explore the various facets of the story, and be supported by the platform in doing that. That's very important. Ye nahi ki hero ke do gaane laga do. All that is not there. Ki thoda gana bhi, item song bhi hona chahiye. No, all that is not there. You get into different dimensions to explore. So that's very important.
True.
So it's more satisfying. It is much more liberating than I think the format of film right now. Of course, film has its own plus points, but the business of film is something which, as a maker, I have no clue. So now I think Monika now.
The one thing I'll say is that the day a series, premieres on streaming is day zero. And that's how we need to look at it. When you look at, it's not appointment day. It is actually day zero for people to experience that story and for people to experience that world and for it to assume a life of its own. So starting from the time it comes, it starts building. It's like, more people watch, more people talk. And then it sort of starts building and building from there. And maybe some people do not catch the first wave. Ram, like you were rightly saying, it's there. Somebody hears about it later also. Like you see on any given day, you'll see Friends on the top 10 row of Netflix. Money Heist, which has released today, the final season, last year it was on our top 10 service for top 10 row for more than 170 days. And Money Heist people in India discovered after season 2. So, you know, when a story comes, it starts as a good story, well told, will have a life of its own. And you will, you know, people will experience it today and people will experience it tomorrow and maybe a year later. So I think, and the series format, I think, really allows you to actually create a world which people can, there are a lot of people who discover a show in season 2. And there are many who, you know, discover in 1. So this is the freedom you get as a creator, as a maker. You're telling a large story which will have a big impact. It's a world you're inviting people into. And I think even for actors, it's like a, you know, I mean, Tahir can speak best about it, but I think, you know, it really gives, you know, a large playing field for you to explore the talent, the storytelling, everything from a platform, creator, and I would throw to Tahir here, artist perspective.
For sure, Monika, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I think often people just look at it as the same content. Would it work in a theater or would it work in the digital space? It's not that. They're two very different modes of delivering content and entertainment to the audience. And I feel like there are certain stories that can be told in 2 hours that might be made for the big screen, but then there are just certain stories that demand that chapter-wise episodic telling, and Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is one of those. Like, I don't think Ye Kali Kali Aankhein could have been told in 1 hour and 40 minutes. And it's the thrill of executing that in the long format as an actor, which is the kick for me. It also helps you diversify your audience. There is a particular kind of audience that will come for a big event film to a theater, and they're not mutually exclusive. It's not like people in India only watch theater or only watch OTT. Yes, definitely what I feel the pandemic has done is that it's acted as a catalyst for the OTT journey. More people have started subscribing to it. And as an entertainer, as an artist, it's fabulous because that means that you have been able to perform your craft. You have been able to be a part of great stories at times when people haven't had access to entertainment otherwise. So it's just allowed you to reach more people and do what you do. And for example, Ye Kali Kali Aankhein will be my debut on Netflix, 190 countries. For the first time ever, I'll be able to call up friends and relatives in Australia, in America, in UK at the same time and say, hey, you know, this weekend, check it out and watch the show. And that's a great feeling. Another thing also to add to what everyone was saying about the flavor of what the genre of Ye Kali Kali Aankhein is. When I watch great shows on Netflix, you know, be it a Borgen, which is Danish, or a Narcos, which is South American, or a Squid Games, which is Korean. One of the things that strikes me is that all of these shows are authentic. They're authentic to the place where they originated from. They're not made in one country trying to be like the other. And for me, that is the USP of Ye Kali Kali Aankhein. It is a heartland story, and it's something that is made for an Indian audience, but it's got a universal theme. And I'm really excited not only to see how friends and family and fans in India react to it, but all over the world.
Great. I think, Tahir, you've put it so nicely that, you know, we Netflix particularly, all the content, they don't ape each other. So from whichever the continent is or whichever the country they are from, the content actually kind of speaks about the originality of their own land, own culture, own music, own style of storytelling. So which is a plus, definitely, which is a plus for all of us. So coming to my last question before I wrap up. Monika, so how is 2022 looking like, the slate of Netflix looking like? And because there's a huge fan base for Netflix and everybody's expecting a lot of content from Netflix in 2022. So what are the surprises that store? And if we can have some exclusive, some exclusive news in this web fest from your end. And to Siddharth also, my question is, what's your next after this, and why people should go and watch Ye Kali Kali Aankhein? And to Tahir, my last question would be that as an actor, since you have said a lot about this whole medium, so what is it that you're looking forward to in 2022 after Kali Kali Aankhein?
I think I'll first answer for Siddharth. We are not letting him go anywhere after this. So So he'll do season 2 and he'll do many more shows. So
Superb. Congratulations. Congratulations on that.
yes, and
there you have it. Exclusive news already.
Yes.
Yes. And so we are already harassing him to finish his writing. And for 2022, I would say, Ram, what we have for people who love entertainment is every conceivable genre and scale of story, type of story, the best creators coming on the service. So we would have really sort of meaningful films, entertaining films. We have so many series, and each of them is distinctive and powerful in its own way. You will see a significant change in the series stories that we tell in India. So that is what is the big thing. We have, I mean, there are some we have announced, so I can't announce what we haven't, but Ye Kali Kali Aankhein will be sort of taking us into the new year, starting us off, but they'll be Finding Anamika, which is Madhuri's debut. It's a mystery drama. Then there's Mai, which is a very powerful, gritty drama. We've announced Chuna. It's a really another crazy heartland, sort of thriller. And we've announced Rana Naidu. There are many stories that we've announced. And there's a series of documentaries which we are doing called Indian Predator, which has very powerful stories. We've announced reality show like Social Currency. In films, we have, we've announced Thar, we've announced Kala, we've announced many films also. So you'll see a lot of different types of engaging and entertaining content on Netflix next year. It'll be a packed year.
Superb. And I think Monika has replied for Siddharth. So you're not going anywhere. You're just doing Ye Kali Kali Aankhein 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 season. And I think you have to face more lockdown on Westin, lock yourself up, and probably meet the deadline and give the script to Monika. Is it like that, Siddharth?
Yeah, that's how she puts it each time. And that's that's how our conversation starts and ends. But it's been a pleasure to work with Netflix. So it's who would mind doing that, So also, I think for the next part of your question is the first she's answered. So the next is, what do people expect out of Kali Kali Aankhein? Full-on entertainment, engaging entertainment, thriller. Like I said, it's a driller with the all kind of this thing and music. And I think it's a thriller with music. So there are around 8-9 songs in it. So yeah, and some kick-ass background also. And of course it's a ride. It's a ride. It's a 5-hour ride, and it should. And I just hope it's binge-worthy. Fingers crossed. The idea is that it should be a 5 hours binge-worthy ride, and I think that it's very rooted. Like I think very rightly what Tahir said, that your content has to be rooted. It has to belong to a certain place, and one has to be true to that place. And I think that's what Netflix does, and we should not. It's not aping anybody else. It is as is. This is Heartland. So have fun in Heartland. So that is it. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
I have to write this too.
Best wishes to you, and I'm sure people will like it, and it will be one of the most talked about show on Netflix, and I'm sure people are going to kind of revisit it over and over again and would anxiously wait for season 2 and season 3. So Tahir, you're also kind of engaged in that that sense, like you will move on to season 2 and season 3, and so how is your calendar?
This is great. We should do interviews like this more often. It looks like Siddharth sir and I have just signed 2 contracts while we're doing the interview. But looking at 2022, coming back to your question, I think it's very safe to say that people don't know what is going on right now, but it is very safe to say that the industry, by and large, is going through a transition of some sort. I think 10 years from now, when we look back at this time, it will be seen as a period of transition. And I think as an actor, the way it has impacted me is that it's the golden age for writing. I think content is king today. And that's what makes 2020 incredibly exciting, because it's a time when I would like to to pick great stories, to pick lead parts, to be a part of those stories, to try and tell them better. Ye Kali Kali Aankhein for me would be my first venture into the romantic drama genre, at least for the first 2 or 3 episodes, without letting out too much. So that's incredibly exciting. And yeah, just fingers crossed that people watch and enjoy the show so that we can do the season 2 and season 3. And through that, coming back to a point that I made earlier, just to redefine what stardom in this country means.
Superb. And so since we are on the 15th of December already and 15 days more to go kind of to wrap up this year, I think good, bad, ugly, whatever happened, 2021 will always be very special to all of us because of its learning experience, if not anything else. And we are all looking forward to 2022. And it was a real pleasure having you all in this panel discussion. Thank you, Monika, for letting us know everything about Netflix and for being so frank and free about the content that you've been producing for many years now. And I'm wishing you all the best for 2022. I'm wishing Siddharth all the best for 2022. I'm sure you have booked yourself at Westin in your suite. So I guess we will meet at Westin for coffee so that you don't have to only see your editor. We'll have few guests also. And Tahir, you've been doing really great, and 2022 is going to be very special for you. My best wishes to you, and whatever you are doing, you're creating good content for your fan, for your audiences, and we need more performers like you. So it was a great pleasure talking to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ram.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you very much, everyone, for that absolutely lovely and very interactive session.